In the manosphere, a lot of things are discussed when it comes to men and dating. Red pill focuses more on the masculine frame, status, and game, with some surface level look magazines sprinkled in there. The black pill focuses more on the looks and the science side of things, with more in-depth look maxim. And the blue pill is just like being in a dream state. But there is one side of this whole thing that is looked over and not discussed as much as it should be. Maybe because it is considered taboo perhaps, and that being how mental conditions affect your dating chances, despite looks. And the main condition that I want to talk about here is autism. Yes, autism do affect your value on the dating market, plus your IQ does as well. But I don't know if I'm going to discuss the IQ in this video or not. Disclaimer, if you find topics like these mental health related, triggering, then you can go ahead and skip the video. If you want to support the channel and get your face evaluated by me with personalized look magazine advice, link will be down in the description. If you want to read more about topics like these, you can check out my blog at neurofacerating.com. Without further ado, let's get this video started. So first of all, let's quickly explain what autism is. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a developmental disability caused by differences in the brain. People with ASD often have problems with social communications and interactions, and restricted or repetitive behaviors or interests. People with ASD may also have different ways of learning, moving, or paying attention. Okay, so now that we know what autism means, let's see how it affects your dating prospects. Like usual, we will look at research and studies done on the subject. The first study talks about how 44.6% of high-functioning adults autistic men remain virgins, despite high sex and relationship drive. A group of high-functioning autistic men and women were evaluated and compared with healthy controls to assess their sexual and relationship desires, and success failure to achieve those desires. 44.6% of autistic men were found to still be virgins among a sample, with the average age being 35.7 years. Autistic men masturbated more and have a greater desire for a relationship than normal neurotypical men. The normal neurotypical men in the sample, however, only 16% of autistic men were in a relationship, while 82% of neurotypical men were in a relationship. Neurotypical men were 5 times more likely to be in a relationship than their autistic counterpart. Autism did not significantly reduce women's ability to find relationships with men, as 46% of women were able to have relationships, while only 16% of men were. The second study talks about how 69% of high-functioning autistic adolescents want relationships, but almost none succeed. The parents of 190 adolescents with high and low-functioning autism completed a survey to evaluate the adolescents' perspective around sexuality. The adolescents upon whom parents were reporting were predominantly Caucasian, 89.3%, and 86.8% males, aged 12 to 18, with a median age of 14 years. The findings were 69.2% of adolescents with high-functioning autism expressed the desire for a dating relationship. 73.1% with high-functioning autism expressed attraction to someone of the opposite sex, and 10% to the same sex. However, only 7.7% of this high-functioning autistic cohort reported having had a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, and 1.5% with someone of the same sex. Only 1.5% of the group had sex. For comparison, around 35% of overall teens aged 13 to 17 have some experience with romantic relationships. Autistic adolescents showed a typical amount of desire for sexual relationships, but a disproportionately low capacity to achieve them. A limitation in delivering figures about the teenager's sex life from parent reports is that teenagers do not disclose all of their activities. However, a survey showed among teens and young adults 15 to 21 who reported having vaginal sex, 91% of their parents were aware of this. The third study talks about how high IQ men are more likely to remain virgins longer. Studies assessing the relations of IQ to mating success in America have found that both adolescent men and women have higher rates of virginity when they have high IQ. For instance, a study conducted by Halpern in 2000 that used a total sample of 11,696 adolescents from 2 longitudinal surveys of adolescent health and sexual behavior measured the IQs of participants using simple and equivalent measures of IQ, the P-Body Picture Vocabulary Test Revised, PPVTR, which has a correlation of 0.64 with the Wechsler Intelligence Scale of Children, indicating that the test is a good measure of general intelligence. Combining this measure with reports of sexual activity, sexual maturation, and mothers' levels of education, a statistical analysis of the data revealed that the most sexually successful individuals seems to be those with an IQ within the range of 70 to 110. This IQ range consists of the borderline mentally impaired at the lower end 70. An IQ below this threshold is generally considered to constitute an intellectual disability, to somewhat above average at 110 at the higher end. The peak was at the range of 75 to 90 IQ, with these males the least likely to be virgins as adolescents. At the low end of the spectrum, an interesting trend emerges, as we see that low IQ affects male and female sexual activity differently. 46.7% of low IQ men were sexually active, while only 18.4% of low IQ men were. Thus, low IQ men were 2.5 times as likely as low IQ women to be sexually successful. These were some interesting studies to look at. The big question remains, is how much of a tax does autism have on your general SMV? Will it be extreme, average, or a small tax? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A like and subscribe will be highly appreciated, and like usual, catch you guys in the next one.